Cleared out. Send out to the near side over Needham's head. Nice mark over the top. That you needed every little ounce of concentration, and he only had eyes for the footy to Jack Needham. Needham will send that one forward now, sending that one down the line, almost through the hands. Two men collide. Durant is able to get it out the back, chip that one up over the top and through the hands of Bevan Main. Main was taken down, no call. Minnesota wanted that one and then slung down the four. It's hot 4-on-4 action as Fashant took down Needham, the two number 4s, and we'll have a boundary throw-in. Again, watch AFL scoreboard. Minnesota 13, DC 7. 2-1 plays 1-1. As they're now trying to get that one up with all sorts of unsuccessful ways was Lashir and sending that one forward. Here comes Minnesota threatening again. And the mark is taken. So AFL, watch AFL scoreboard score check. 13 plays 7. And the ball gets knocked down. Going to get picked up, and DC will get it the heck out of there. One-on-one contest. Ricochets, Franco Harris style. Off the hands of Needham. Cutting through his calendar. Handballs up over the top. Little 1-2 do-si-do action. And it's going to go back, and now going back to get it is the 40 there in Stephen Paul. Paul will send that one forward as DC trying to look for the tying score. Going to get played back the other way. Sending that one forward once again, and the mark is taken. And it'll play that one quickly. Here's a big kick, and he'll ride with the wind again towards the Christopher Cross end, and it's marked defensively. And DC will try and shake the Etch-a-Sketch and drop something new. Out to the far side now. Running away. He's going to get tackled. He has to give up the footy. There once again is Callahan on the footy. It's a dog pile on the rabbit situation. And the umpire crosses to me, but a good job of pressure by the Minnesota Freeze as they look to extend their lead. Ball gets dropped down in front. Out to the near side. And now cleared out. Ball goes high in the air. Weaver tried to win position. It's him and Bevan Main, and the ball will go out of bounds. Oh. Ooh. Well. Well, that was Bevan Main, and you could hear on our microphones Main and Weaver going back and forth, and the ball comes spinning back in the play. And it almost was a little bit of a dangerous situation, but nobody got hurt. And out the near side, here's Needham. Here is Fashant. Flash Fashant sends that one over. One-on-one contest. Holding the man is going to get called, I believe, and it is. And so now here the other way is Minnesota, or rather is DC. Comes out looking for Needham. Needham takes the mark. Needham looking for a lead. Sees one forthcoming, and he peels off. Dropped in front. And now going over to get it is Bergiadis. And it's marked. Sent in by the Freeze now into the top of the 50-meter arc. Nice mark taken across by Brent Fisher. And Fisher's going to whirl around. Did it get anything? Yeah, it got a point, and only 1 point. Well, it's now less than a goal the difference on the Watch AFL scoreboard. It's the DC Eagles 13, Minnesota. I'm sorry, it's the other way. I'm sorry. It's the Minnesota Freeze 14, DC 7. Minnesota 14, DC 7. And now it's more than a straight kick the difference. Now up on the far side. And going to be paddled in the middle. There's some contact off the footy. A lot of contact happening off the footy. And the ball gets skittered across, and now going up to pick it up And now picking that one up the other way, here is Blumenschein, who sends that one across, but Minnesota has the numbers and comes out to the near side. It's going to be marked by Calendar. I love a Calendar guy, and he's going to come off and send this one down the line. And realizing at the last minute that the ball was heading in his direction was Robertson. Needham right on the boundary line. Nice little weighted kick, marked. And then taken down kind of incidentally, but the mark taken by Lishkowski. Sammy W. sends this one. And he's going to get paid a 50-meter penalty because Brent Mergen came over the mark. And so Lishkowski will move in and be just about a 45-degree angle. And he goes bang. And we're back to a one-point game on the Watch AFL scoreboard. That was awfully close, but they're all going to look like bombs on the scoreboard. And now the score is Minnesota 14, DC 13. Minnesota 2-2-14, DC 2-1-13. Here on USAFL.com. And, of course, our thanks to Tasmanian, to Coopers, to Watch AFL, and to Gridiron Productions, who is bringing you the pictures across these two fields. Here comes DC. They have the notion now, just 1 point separating. Two really good games to start today here on Coopers Field, and we hope you'll join us all day long here from Lakewood Ranch, Florida, as this one is played inside. Top of the 50-meter arc. Nice mark by Fisher. They have the footy now 30 meters out. Maybe closer to like 50, actually. So here is Fisher. Fisher striding forward. He almost went about as backward as Brown, but the kick is going to be absolutely perfect. Goal to Brent Fisher on the Minnesota Freeze, and they extend their lead. Watch AFL scoreboard. Minnesota 20, DC 13. The Freeze 20, and DC Eagles 13, and that will do it for the first half. So a very entertaining first 20 minutes here, and as we said, we've played 60 minutes of football here at the Premier Sports Campus of Lakewood Ranch, and every single bit of it has been lots of fun. Minnesota getting a little bit more of their chances and making the most of it. And at halftime, it's the Minnesota Freeze 3-2-20, the DC Eagles 2-1-13. We're going to take a break and come right back. You're watching the 2023 USAFL National Championships here on USAFL.com.
We meet in a place unlike any other. A unique corner of the world. A place that's wild and wildly rewarding. Where challenge meets character and hazard meets haven. All roads lead to discovery. Meet you at Devil's Corner.
How do I feel looking back on 25 years? I'm incredibly proud that we are still here as such a vibrant organisation.
We are a bunch of guys who literally learn the game by watching it on YouTube. And they get hit, and they're like, I wasn't ready for that.
The sense of camaraderie and seeing that continue off the field.
Whereas in the first few years, it was kind of like, this could fall apart tomorrow.
All is in readiness here. The stars are out. The big stage is here. The red carpet is rolled out.
Looking forward to this, as we like to say, a humdinger.
And the question is, can you...
Second half of this men's Division II game between the DC Eagles and the Minnesota Freeze about to get underway here on Cooper's Field. Brian Barish here with you on a absolutely beautiful day. Look, there's a lot of clouds. That's a good thing. The players aren't broiling too much. There is some humidity in the air, but, you know, it's Florida, and that kind of comes with the territory. Minnesota leading the DC Eagles 20-13 as the second half starts. The Freeze are headed from right to left on your device of watching choice, and a nice mark by Tiger Werner. His first name is Andrew, but nobody calls him Andrew. And as DC now has a chance for a goal, or rather Minnesota has a chance for a goal, they'll join us. They'll come out. And as we sit here watching this game, we are joined here in the commentary position by Laura Kane. And Laura, I'm going to try my best. You are the executive managing director of the AFL. Did I get that right?
Close. Executive general manager.
General manager. I apologize.
No, don't apologize.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've only had a game and a half happen across the fields. What's your impression of the tournament so far?
Oh, it's wonderful. The passion and excitement and hearing American accents say holding the ball, yelling at the umpires is quite the spectacle.
Does it make you feel like you're back home a little bit?
It does. I can't believe I'm in Florida and watching a whole tournament worth of AFL football games. It's terrific.
What's the feeling about the fact that, the AFL definitely wants to grow the game a whole lot. Talk about, I guess, the vision for, where you see the game growing like globally in the next couple of years.
Yeah, we definitely do want to grow the game. Australia is a really diverse place, and we've got people from almost all backgrounds playing our game already, whether it's at community level or the elite. I mean, we've got Mason Cox here who has taken his fair share of selfies since arriving, from what I've seen. But it is to get our game in the backyards, literally, of other countries. It's everything to us to make sure more people see our game, play our game, umpire our game. But as you can see, it's hard to build a footy field, let alone 5.
I like to say that it's like an Amish farm raising, is because there's so many people and you're putting everything together. There's so many elements. As DC has added a behind to the Watch AFL scoreboard, it's now Minnesota 20, DC 14. The one thing in my 10 years in this position that I've really kind of stressed is the growth of women's footy. Talk about that as well, not just in Australia, because AFLW is becoming bigger and bigger, but I would like to get your impression about how women's footy is growing and where it could go globally as well.
Yeah, it's been remarkable. I think women's sport has grown. The profile of women's sport, obviously we just hosted the World Cup, Soccer World Cup, football probably for the soccer fans, but women's sport is a movement, but it's also women in sport, women coaching sport, my role in administrating sport. It's a completely different look, and so we have to harness the excitement, but we have really talented female athletes all around the world. We have many in Australia playing AFLW, many here playing AFLW.
And I know that there's a lot of women, like especially now in AFLW, who are cycling through the system as that are now coming up. Whereas at the beginning we saw a lot from a different background. Erin Phillips leaps to mind. is there a focus on that, not just in Australia, to see about pulling players from other sports, not just in Australia, but from elsewhere around the world? And is there any challenges around that?
Definitely. The cross-code athletes, they come in and they have an impact. In AFLW, their athleticism, coordination, basketball players, for instance, have really transferable skills. Hockey players do as well. So there absolutely is an interest, much like Mason Cox's pathway, to play basketball at a particular level. I think that was another point, if you want me to help you out there.
No, I appreciate it. Minnesota extends things back to 7 points on the Watch AFL scoreboard. So it's Minnesota 21, DC 14, 3-3-21 Minnesota, DC 14. Good job on the special comments.
No
I appreciate
worries.
it. But yeah, no, I think Mason has been, and that's another question I have. Like, I guess, there is, Australia, especially on the men's side, has a real flying leap over the men's game over everybody else. But it would be great to see. Mason Cox is such a good story, and even it'd be good. I'm sure there's at least some idea of getting, at least in some way, some more international players up through the pipeline. At the very least, to get experience at the state level and whatnot.
Absolutely, and we're better for it to have different faces, different experiences. They've come from different sports, different facilities, different programs, and we can learn from each other. So, we want our game to be for everyone. We want football in every home, and we will do that by having the people who watch and play our game as diverse as possible.
And I'm going to ask you one last question, and you've only been here a little bit, so I'm going to ask you, is there a USAFL team name that you like a lot? I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit.
That's a hard question. I only know one player from Seattle, so far Seattle are my favorite team just by default. But otherwise, I might have to have a look at the team sheet and see which one I like. I've heard there's some quite interesting jumpers that they design, so I'm also on the lookout for which one of those is my favorite.
Well, we just had the Fort Lauderdale Fighting Squids here on the last
Okay,
field.
they can be my favorite.
We had the Tampa Bay Tiger Sharks on the other ground, the Rome Redbacks.
Squids is good.
The Squids is good. I've actually designed, there's a couple of jumpers. I don't know that you're going to see them today, but the North Star Blue Ox, which is the only independent women's team in the league. I designed their logo and their jumpers.
Great. I'll keep a lookout.
Yeah, it's really good. Laura Kane, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. I know you're going to be busy and you've got a lot of stuff, but thank you so much, and thank you to the AFL for your support and love. And we're doing our best to grow the game here. It's the best sport in the world. This is my 16th Nationals, and it's great to get the chat with you.
It's amazing. Thank you. Thank you to everyone for everything that everyone does over here. This is remarkable.
And enjoy, and I'll tell you what I tell everybody else, enjoy the footy.
Very good. Thank you.
No worries. And there is a goal for the DC Eagles, and they are loving life at the moment. And a goal on the Watch AFL scoreboard. They get 6 points back. And it is all square on the Watch AFL scoreboard. 21 plays 21. What a goal there. And so now it is game on. And as we said at the top, it's not usually often that you have one game that is right down to the wire on Cooper's Field. Now we've got two, as Fort Lauderdale and Jacksonville went down to the bell. For Jacksonville won by 3 points. As the ball gets squirted free, handball back. Weaver is in there for Minnesota. Ball bounces out to Fashant. Ball spun round. Ball comes back in. And now out the far side, now going to be sent that one in the middle of the ground. Nice mark over the top by Tom Matthew. Matthew will send that one quickly. Oh, nice snag by Needham. Needham runs the 45 and kicks this one. It's going to go doing. It was a Wilbur post. Hello, I'm Mr. Ed. But DC has the lead on the Watch AFL scoreboard. 22 for the DC Eagles, 21 for the Minnesota Freeze. And the Eagles, who have been playing catch-up, now using the agency of a 3-goal breeze. Out to the near side, going to hang up in the air nicely, and coming over to take it is Blumenshine. Blumenshine sends that one where the sun shines, or at least is hidden behind a cloud at the moment. And the ball goes out of bounds, and we'll have a boundary throw-in. Ball comes spinning back in the play. And man gets taken down, and staying with it there was Brent Mergen, and Murgo, who has also been around. The three-headed, three-pronged attack, those veterans of Mergen and Werner and Fisher, who have been around this Minnesota team a long time, has helped them win all three of those championships in Division II as the ball hangs up for Lashir. So Minnesota having difficulty clearing the half-forward line, and they are kicking the ball too high, in my opinion. They need to play the ball down as Luke Johnson has the mark, and he does so 35 meters out. It might actually be more like 45 meters out. Johnson staggers forward like a horse heading towards the barn, kicking that one on his right foot, sending that one in towards the sticks. It's knocked down in front and goes through for a minor score. It's now a 2-point lead. DC 23, Minnesota 21. DC 3-5-23, Minnesota 3-3-21. Watch AFL scoreboard. A lot of special guests in the house. We heard from Laura Kane, Simon Whitfield, who's the community coordinator in the AFL, and a number of distinguished guests. Ron Watt from the AFL coaching is here. Ball goes out of bounds up on the far side. Ball comes back in the air once again. Over to get it is James McGee. McGee be able to get that one forward, and the ball goes out of bounds. Here on USAFL.com, Brian Barish, second half of this game. And we'll have more action for you as the 11 o'clock game. We'll have our first women's game of the day as the DC Eagles take on the New York Magpies in women's action. And Minnesota will clear that one out. That's Women's Division II. Nice mark over the top. Going to play that one on quickly was Woodruff. Sending that one in. The ball pops up high in the air. Did it get home? No, it's through for a behind. DC knocking on heaven's door. They are stabbing it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. That's because we're in Florida, not the Hotel California. 24 plays 21. Three-point lead for DC. Going out and trying to take the mark, but a good spoil there as the mark was almost taken by Robertson, but the ball goes out of bounds. Once again on the Watch AFL scoreboard, DC 24, Minnesota 21. Ball comes spinning, back in the play. Out in the middle of the ground, and it will go, it'll skip, it'll hop, and here comes Durant for Minnesota. Going to go send that one up on the far side, and over the top now as the ball gets knocked away by Stephen Paul. Ball goes out of bounds once again. Freeze trying to push ahead, and over to get it. There is Robertson once again for Minnesota. He's rolling forward. It's like a rolling tumbleweed situation here in the middle of Florida. As the ball gets popped up in the air, DC trying to get it out of there and continue the pressure. One knockout blow might be forthcoming. Sending this one high in the air. This could bring rain. Don't say the R word here in Florida as the ball gets knocked down. Sending that one in up to the top of the goal square. Gets knocked away. And then going and picking that one up and skittering around there was Justin Habel. Habel sends that one in, but it's marked. So Habel with the footy. Or check that DC here with the footy across the wing position commentary side. That one is sent deep and long and strong. The wind's going to carry it. It goes through the hands of Brent Mergen and then kicked out of there. The wind's going to hang this one up in the air. They can't be doing those high kicks. And Lashir comes over and takes the mark. With the wind blowing in your face, you got to keep it low and slow like a good bowl of chili, or else that's going to happen. But DC, again, has the freeze up on the ropes and just can't land that knockout blow. On the Watch AFL scoreboard, it's now a 4-point lead. As Minnesota 25, DC 21. Minnesota 3 goals, 7, leading DC 3-3. That one goes forward. There's a man down in Friday, and that may have snuck through, and it has, and another point for Minnesota, or for DC rather. DC 26, Minnesota 21. 5 points the lead. The other teams in this group are Seattle and Calgary, and we'll see them play as well. And that one will skitter across, and now it is a goal's worth of behinds as our friend Bill Robert, who I'm sure is watching in one form or another up in New England, host of Stateside Footy, life member, man who has sat beside me in the commentary position many times. And once again, Minnesota cannot get those kick-ins to work as it's right into the chest of Blumenschein. The Blumenschein will go back. The wind is kind of blowing from left to right. Distance shouldn't be an issue. It's a matter of judging where this wind is going to be. Sending that one on the way. And that one goes through across and stays in play. Minnesota trying to get the ball. Right now it's about 180 meters from where they need it to be, at least to force a draw. And if you're not familiar with the sport or the league or anything, there are ties in the USAFL. I mean, as there is in Australian football, but this game can end in a tie. It's an 8-team round robin, 2 groups of 4. Each of these teams will play 2 games today, 1 game tomorrow, with the winner of each pool going to the grand final. D2 grand final will be here on Coopers Field and on USAFL.com at 2 p.m. tomorrow. The winner of Pool B and Pool A, as Minnesota tries to get it out. In Pool A, it'll be Sacramento, Baltimore, Houston. Oh, this might be the group with Sacramento. I'm utterly confused. We're going to look at it so that I don't give bad information. This is actually the group with Sacramento. It's Sacramento, D.C., Minnesota, and Columbus. And it's Seattle who's in the other group. Here comes Minnesota down the ground now. They need a goal to tie the game. But it's all red lights and white jumpers. Out to the near side. Going out to pick it up. A handball back is Hoskelson. And Hoskelson knocked down by Werner. Going to drop in front. Picked off of one hand. Shoveled back and looking to find Robertson. Robertson sends that one inside. Hanga. McClure takes the mark. He's going to play on quickly. Does he have an option? Yes! A mark dead in front. And he'll go back to try and tie the score. Will Dan Stevens, another veteran. And if Stevens can put this through the hey diddle diddle, we'll have a tie game. Stevens going back. 35 meters out. Not much of an angle to speak of. Stevens arches the back, sends it on the way. The umpire shimmies to his left and points out one finger. He did not get the bundle, and they are still 5 points adrift. It is DC 29. I'm sorry, wait a minute. DC 27, Minnesota 22. So it's 3 goals, 9-27 for Minnesota, or for DC rather. Minnesota 3-4-22. Ball gets sent down the line once again, and it's going to be picked off. And taking his time is Hoskelson. Or check that, that's Tom Matthew. Matthew, former Columbus Cat. Turned over by Minnesota. A goal now puts them in the lead, but they're going to need it quick, fast, and in a hurry. They are queuing up and streaming down the ground. Long kick over the top. McLuhan is a tall man, but can only get a right paw to it. Kicks that one out to the middle of the ground. It'll skip, it'll hop, it'll roll, it'll bounce. It'll do all the things that a football is supposed to do. Why didn't he pick that one up as the water has gone everywhere? Why didn't James Williamson pick up the footy? I don't know. And it's going to be a free kick to DC, and perhaps a chance has gone begging. I mean, I hope it was worth it because I just lost half a water bottle. It's okay. We're all good. Gives it off to Johnson, Luke Johnson. Again, DC looking for the knockout blow. They lead by 4, 27-23. 3 goals, 9 plays, 3 goals, 4. Two minutes to go unofficially is what we're hearing from the sideline. And Minnesota, their next game will be against Sacramento. DC will play Columbus next. And again, Minnesota looking for the go-ahead goal. They would do it. It would probably give them the victory too, but it's marked. And here is Woodruff, who plays a lazy ball in the middle for Luke Johnson. They get 7 seconds to make up their mind, and Johnson's going to take every single one of those 7 seconds. But he turns it over. So much for being careful. Fashant sends it forward. Skittled forward by Minnesota. Handball up over the top for Callender. Left-footed kick. Looking for a lead. McLuhan was spoiled by his own man. Out the back they go. Just gets the handball off. Looking in front, McLuhan. Did he get his foot to it? He did, but it was across the face. Still in play. Minnesota, and the ball goes out of bounds. Tick, tick, tick. 5 points the difference. 29-24 DC. Minnesota threatening. Our second consecutive barn burner to start off proceedings here at the Nationals. Ball comes spinning back into play once again. Who needs a voice for 6 more games? I know I sure as hell don't. As the mark was taken over the top by 34, and there is the siren, and the DC Eagles have held on to this one over a game and determined Minnesota Freeze side. And they have had to fight for their opening victory. The final score on the Watch AFL scoreboard, the DC Eagles 3-9-27, and the Minnesota Threes 3-4-22. What a game from both sides. They are spent, and guess what? They have another game in several hours' time. As we said, it'll be Minnesota and Sacramento, while the DC Eagles will face the Columbus Cats a little bit later on this afternoon. So a lot of more action coming, and I'll tell you what, if those games are anything like this one, we're in for a treat. Coming up here on Cooper's Field at 11 o'clock, it'll be me, myself, and I once again for our first women's game of the day as the New York Magpies take on the DC Eagles. Over on men's 2, where Pat Machado is sitting, actually Heath Moore will be sitting in for that one. It'll be the Sacramento Suns and the Columbus Cats. That's the other opening game in this group. We're going to step aside and come right back. We'll join you over on the other stream. You're watching the 2023 USAFL